Welcome to the Lumberjack podcast with your host Matt. I'm flying solo today, but I have my good friend Dan on, and we're going to talk a little bit about Dan and Dan's business. So Dan, introduce yourself.
Yes, sir. So firstly, thanks for the invite, and hopefully I'll meet your other half another time on the pod. So I'm Dan Quirion. Most people call me Dan Q for short because they can't pronounce my last name because they fucking butcher it. Am we allowed to swear on your podcast?
Oh mate, swear the fuck. Yeah. Go nuts.
All right, perfect. Confirmation. Perfect. So just kind of quick little spiel about me. So Canadian guy, moved over here 5 years ago, just over 5 years ago. Was a basketball player back in Canada, so I was playing college ball. So lucky enough to play kind of full ride scholarship pretty much. Canada doesn't really do full ride, but you had academic and sport scholarship, so didn't have to pay a whole bunch, to put it that way. So I was pretty lucky that way. Played 5 years, University of New Brunswick, stand up. If anybody knows where that is, congratulations. If you don't worry about it. So moved over here in 2015. Mrs. is British, in case you're wondering why I moved over here. And started PTing, kind of like started in Leeds, still live in Leeds. Was kind of lucky enough to climb up the corporate ladder in Pure Gym. Probably heard of Pure Gym if you're British. If you're not, don't worry about it. And then for the longest time, I was always like, I need to get involved in the basketball community. So always kind of been coaching, mostly do online coaching at the moment, just because of my full-time job. Just, I don't know, I have like one guy that I see a few times a week, but besides that, I'd rather just dedicate the time elsewhere, like for basketball stuff. So probably like last year, I really kind of started thinking, nobody does any basketball related stuff. Nobody does any kind of S&C basketball related stuff. Like some people do, but they don't market themselves. So kind of took a bit of a plunge that way because I'd been always wanted to do it. Obviously, basketball is not as big in England as it is in North America. So right now I train, my clients that aren't basketball specific for the most part, trying to focus more on people that are, former athletes, former college guys, people that are just kind of like me, had some injuries along the way. So that's kind of where I really focus my time if they're not basketball related. And then basketball related stuff, then I just kind of work with a local organization in Leeds, just helps kids get back into just kind of like in the right places, you know what I mean? Like off the streets and, more of a positive environment called Let's Do More. And then, started training some guys, train a few people kind of in and around Leeds, train people, from Lithuania online. Everything's online at the moment, and I've also got about 4 or 5 pro guys on the books, if you want to call it that I kind of train and do all their S&C stuff for. So it's been cool, and I'm just basically trying to be that go-to guy basketball related in kind of Yorkshire. That's kind of the goal right now. So that's kind of a bit about me. And I'm still dunking. I'm 30. I'm still dunking. Proud of that. So
5'6", never been able to dunk. It was always my thing. I was like, I'm going to be Nate Robinson. I'm going to be like Spud Webb. Never.
Can you touch mesh?
It once. I touched the rim once.
Yeah. I'd expect you to jump pretty high though, because you can hack squat, you can leg press and all that.
You know what? I haven't tried to jump in a very long time. I just feel like if I try and jump, my knees are going to just implode.
No, you might hurt yourself.
But there's a hoop literally next door at the park.
Nice.
So we can go down there and play a little bit every now and then. But
you have to send me a video of your jump shot, because I'm not gonna lie, if you haven't seen Matt before, well, last time I saw Matt, his shoulders were bigger than his head, so I can't really picture him shooting the ball over his shoulder. You know what?
I do have a video. I'll send you the video on Instagram in a minute. We can assess it. But so I got Dan on the show just because, one, I worked with him at Pure Gym when I was a personal trainer. And secondly, I keep seeing his adverts pop up on Facebook, on Instagram. He's got these ads that he's running, really professional looking ads for ballers. And in my heart, I'm still a baller. So it pops up. And I'm like, yes. I wanted to go on and I wanted to talk to him about it. If you don't know, before, I did used to play basketball, which is very, very amusing, as I'm 5'6". And like I said, I'm wider than I am tall.
Are you 5'6"?
I'm 5'5", 5'6". I gave myself an extra like half an inch, like 5'5".
Oh, okay. Yeah, cool.
I played college ball. Very, very different between sort of Canada and the UK. the one thing that was missing for us, especially in our college, was any education regarding nutrition, supplementation, S&C stuff. Like, it was all missing. Like, we'd eat Krispy Kreme and then train. Or we'd go for a Nando's and then play a game, like half an hour in between. And looking back on it now, I know about nutrition, and I've gained myself an education. If I could do it differently, I would have done it differently. And even though I'm not the tallest, I would have been a better baller for it. And that's kind of why I've got you on, and I want to talk to you about it, because if we can spread the message now to a few, I know a lot of ballers probably don't watch this, but if we can spread it to a couple of people who do, and sort of change the way they look at what they're doing now, we can make UK basketball a little bit better, hopefully. A little
100%.
bit.
No, I think it's a good show.
And I want to make you basketball king of England. I've decided.
That's awesome.
That's what we're going to do.
Yeah. So any publicity is good publicity. So where do you want me to start, I guess? Do you want me to start with the training stuff, nutrition stuff? Where do you want me to go?
I want you to start with what your inspiration was to start basketball. Like, what made you want to be a baller? Let's go really, really in depth.
Oh, man. So, well, in Canada and in the States, you grow up, you play everything, right? You play baseball, you play soccer, as we call it, obviously, football, you play American football, you play hockey. So naturally, you're Canadian, you grow up, first thing you do is pick up a hockey stick, you start fucking slapping that puck around, right? And you do that in the winter, and then in the summer, you're playing soccer, you're playing golf. So you kind of get to a point where you can't do it all. Like, my family's not the richest family. We're not the poorest family, poorest. Wow. That's my French here. Can't speak. We're not the poorest family either. So I was fortunate enough I could afford to play a couple sports every year, but eventually got to a point where it was like, holy fuck, Danny, like it's getting a bit pricey. You got to pick a sport.
Pick one and get good.
Yeah, and it was like hockey at the time. I think I was like 12, and we got a letter saying, "Oh, like your son's been selected to play for this all-star team. It's like the Moncton Selects. It's gonna cost you like $4,000 for your son to play." And obviously, like all the kit and everything. Yeah, and my dad's like, "Look, if you're gonna play, like 100%, we can play, but you can't play basketball. You can't play this, you can't play that." So I was like, "Well," at the time, I was like, "You know what? I'm just gonna try playing basketball." So I started playing basketball, and then the rest is kind of history. Just like started learning pretty quick. I've always been pretty like good at picking things up. Yeah. So like my motor control is quite good. Like, I always kind of like to think I'm a jack of all trades and master of none, but then obviously like I was better at basketball than anything else. So I just picked it up quick. And at first I was literally just like a defender. I was like the go-to guy. I was like the Kawhi Leonard of the league. If anybody knows who that is, he's just like a great defender. Just making all these like, all-star teams and provincial teams, like we call them back home. And then eventually just like my game started developing, because naturally you're practicing all the time. You go on all these camps. And that's pretty much why I got to ball. And then you just kind of fall in love with the process, don't you? Just like people do over here with rugby and football. Yeah. And that's pretty much how it went.
Cool. Yeah. So if you had to pick up one person that sort of your game's based on, who would you say your game's based around?
Oof, that's a good, what? I've never had that question. That's a good question.
This is why I wanted to get a baller on, because I've got the baller questions for you.
Yeah. I think like, because I grew into more of a shooter, like a perimeter player. I always like to think I had decent handles, but like they weren't as good as I think they were. So I was definitely more of like a JJ kind of Reddit guy. Like, I'd love to say I was Steph Curry, but no fucking chance I was Steph Curry.
No one is except Steph Curry.
Yeah. So I'd say I was more of like I don't know. I could create my own shot. I could, shoot off the dribble. I could, shoot quite well, like just catching and shooting. So it's a tough question. Yeah. I wouldn't say I modeled my game on anybody. I just played. Like, that's one thing I never actually did, is like I do this more now than I ever did before, mostly because I'm like, training kids and sending them skill work and all that stuff. But I never really like watched NBA ball and go, I'm going to model my game after that guy. I just kind of watched it as a fan. And now I watch and I'm like, oh, fuck. Okay. So that's what I need to do. That's how I have to move my hips, my eyes, my shoulders if I want to beat my guy. So I kind of just did me, really. I just played like a random French kid, basically. So
fair enough. Cool. So let's get into sort of what you do for people then. So we'll talk about your gem pop at the minute. So your gem pop that you train, you say they're normally like ex-athletes and people that you can relate to a lot more. Do you find that a lot easier to do than just getting anyone in off the street? Like, are you very selective with what clients you'll take on?
Yeah. So I wasn't before, but in the last kind of, 6 to 12 months, especially with lockdown, just having a lot more time to reflect and figure out who I want to work with. Not saying I don't like working with other people, right? Like I still have a few clients that, I've been working with for a long time that, are just generic fat loss, and they have their own things that we need to sort out. But yeah, I find the people that are more like me, that are more performance based, like, they want to lose weight and they want to look good and feel good, but ultimately they want to focus on the gym performance more. And they're bought into the process of, all right, you got to do assessments, right? And off the back of those assessments, your warm-up's going to dictate basically the workout. And off the back of that, then we're going to do, some pulling, some jumping, a bit of running. We're going to do some low plyometric stuff, and you kind of educate them along the way.
Yeah.
And I like working with them a bit more just because they're like me and they're naturally competitive. And when you get that former athlete mentality who's like, probably doing quite well in life anyways, because when you come out of a sport, right, and you've been playing quite at a high level and you're competitive, then you usually bring that into the workplace.
Yeah.
So it's kind of nice because then you bring them into the gym and you kind of rattle their cage a bit and you go, look, you got to take some time for yourself now. Like, fucking give your head a shake. If you keep doing what you're doing, you might make a load of money, or you might start doing this, doing that, but your health's going to suffer. Let's get you doing things that you were doing before. You're only 35, right? Like, I work with people that, are between the age of like 25 and 45, roughly. That's kind of where I like to be. And some of them don't do anything anymore. They don't run, they don't jump, they don't sprint. And I'm like, why? Like, what are you doing? Like, why don't you do that anymore? Like, that's the funnest thing that we used to do. And just kind of seeing that kind of develop over time is fun. So that's kind of who I work with from I guess, Gen Pop.
Yeah. So the physique is kind of a secondary thing. More like a win first, physique is second kind of thing. So
exactly. Yeah. And then the way we track it is different too. Like I call it like performance and lifestyle tracking. And, I picked up a really sick app last year because my housemate, and Way, right? Yeah. Way. Yeah. So Way lives with my missus and I, and she randomly got an email about this app that came out called Just Coach. And if you bought it then and there, you had lifetime access. You didn't have to pay anything else. And it's sick. And I use that now with all those guys. I use that with all the athletes. And it's just like, it's a great and easy way to track things. And then when you do kind of video recordings, whatever kind of software you're using, and then you get them to see that and they go, oh, wow, like on a monthly basis, I can really see, oh, my sleep's actually not that great, or my hydration not that great. My stress level is quite high. And when my stress levels are high, well, I binge a bit more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's kind of how we package it, really.
Nice. Cool. So what's your approach with the athletes then, and how does that differ?
Surprisingly, I wouldn't say it's massively different. I think the biggest difference is going to be their training. So the main thing I try to do with the guys, especially the pro guys, like the NBL guys. So in England, obviously for those of you guys that don't know, and if you're not English, you won't know, but there's BBL, which is like the top league, and there's NBL, which is like Division 1. And then there's like a bunch of sub leagues. Now, most BBL teams have an S&C coach, so it's hard to crack, right? I've messaged loads of guys, right? Offered my services, but it's hard to crack those guys. And some of them are even actually quite like open to working with me, but then you just have to keep pestering them. But eventually it's like, look, if they want to work with me, they'll work with me. The NBL guys, a lot of those guys don't have S&C stuff, right? And these guys are former D1 guys, right? D2, played in the States. Like they played pro probably a couple places in Europe. So with them, the first thing I always get them to do is, let me know like what their injury history is, like a big consultation process like you would with a client, just slightly different questions. I ask them, I try to do a lot more coaching with them. So I try to get a lot more open questions with them. So, what's 10 out of 10 look like for you? What's like, where do you think you are now? What would be that, like, what's the big difference that would make that a 10 out of 10 in terms of like your training, your game? Like, what's your game? Like, where do you want your game to be in the next kind of 12 months? A lot of different questions. And then we just do assessments. But again, the assessments are different. Like Gen Pop, I'm going to do a lot of mobility, flexibility stuff. I'm going to do, a bit of stability work, right? Stuff like that, just to find out roughly, like, can they hold a plank, a side plank? How many push-ups can they do? How many squats can they do? With an athlete, I'm probably going to test, well, especially basketball, I'm going to test different range of motions. So like, for you, I might not ask for what your big toe mobility is, but for a basketball guy, I'm going to.
Yeah.
Because, and to be fair, most of the time I still get you to do the big toe mobility assessment, because the guys who are performance based still kind of like that stuff, right?
Yeah.
And then from there, then the program is just entirely different. Like the Gen Pop guy is going to have, pushing and pulling, horizontal, vertical, going to have some core work in there, might put a few arm bits in there just to make them feel good because they're getting the pump in their bicep, right? All that kind of stuff. But then the basketball guy, it's like, you got to really plan it. It's, it's all about really phasing it.
Game.
Exactly. And then obviously if they're in season and if they're out of season, that's all going to like depend. And obviously with COVID right now is huge because they don't have as much time in the gym. They don't have access to the gym. So a lot of the things right now is body weight, like, right? Most people are doing.
Yeah.
So I would say there are slight differences, but not massive ones.
Okay, cool. How have you found it, sort of everything closing down over COVID? I know it's been an absolute joke, but leisure centres and stuff have closed as well. So has it just been a case of like the ballers have been having to go to outside courts and stuff, even through the winter, or have they been able to make a deal somewhere with the leisure centre where they kind of let them in the back door?
Yeah. No, that's a good question. I'd say, most a few of the guys that aren't pro, they're just doing it at home. They're just doing it at the basketball court. Like one guy's in Scotland and he's like, there's fucking snow. I can't do this. And I'm like, that's all good. Don't worry about it, bro. Like, I'd rather you not do that in the snow.
No, it's an indoor.
Yeah. But you can still do a lot of that. The only difference I find the big difference is outside. You're subject to a lot, harder stresses in terms of jumping on pavement and jumping in a gym that's like spring loaded floor. Especially the good courts. But again, England's like, in my opinion, all the courts I've been to, they're pretty shit. They're like fucking tiles like half the time. So yeah, the NBL guys, like they've got time in the gym because their class is elite. So they're still training, but they don't actually have a gym. They just they can go to the gym and shoot around and they can do their workout there. Yeah. So luckily this is the big thing too. And it's like, with any client you train, even yourself, is like, you don't need kit, right? You can do so much shit with your body weight, but luckily, especially basketball related, there's so many things that we could train body weight before we even talk about overloading with weight. Yeah. And that's where a lot of guys like don't realize. They just think they need to get under a heavy bar and squat, when the reality is it's like, you don't need a 2-time body weight squat to jump high. You need to build that like springy elastic component in your muscles, and you can do that in so many different ways.
Yeah, if that were the case, I'd be dunking by now.
Mate, you could if you wanted to. You just got to put the time in.
Yeah. Should we set a little challenge, see if I can dunk soon?
Good luck.
Yeah, we'll see. Get me some flubber. Remember flubber?
Yeah.
Some flubber. I'll nail it.
Great movie.
So what have you got planned for 2021? Like, what kind of direction are you wanting? I know you said you want to sort of take over basketball in Yorkshire. Mm-hmm. Like, what have you got in place in order to achieve that? Like, what are you going to need to do, and what goals have you set yourself in order to do that?
Yeah, good question. So there's a few things that I've kind of got in plan, and obviously we're already at the end of March, so it's flying. But the big thing I wanted was gym time, at least once a week. So I've got gym time every Sunday in Leeds on a Sunday morning for an hour. So it's a start where basically I'm going to have skill sessions. So I'm not going to be doing S&C stuff, because the thing is, there's not many people that do skill work and S&C, like if any, in England that I know of. Like there's not many, especially in North England. You see a lot more skill guys in the States, but again, you don't see a mix of both. So like PJF Performance, if you ever seen that guy on Insta, Paul Favorites, he's probably like the guy I look up to, right, in terms of like what he's doing. So every Sunday I'm gonna have that session. So post COVID, I'm working on getting that basically any age group at the moment. Like the guys kind of want me to just limit it to like 18 or younger, but realistically I want to get the NBL guys in and all that stuff. So that's number one, because that just helps get, word of mouth around. Second thing I'm trying to do is get a annual 3-on-3 tournament going. So in the process of planning that for end of August, kind of September. So again, just COVID dependent, but that's going to be happening in Leeds. Me and another guy are kind of heading that. We're going to basically just try to run that annually, just get the hoops culture going in Leeds. Obviously just helps from a marketing perspective. The other goal is to just keep getting as many NBL, BBL. Ideally, I'd like to land a couple BBL guys, even if I have to train them for free. Because this is the thing, right? A lot of people, like, they want to get to this point and they just think that, you know, it's going to happen overnight. It's like, you know, people need proof, right? People need to see you as the authoritative figure in that market, right? As the leader in that market. It's not going to happen by just me hoping some guy's going to pay me. So, you know, I need to work with some guys, make sure that they see the benefits. And then again, it's like marketing, word of mouth. So I hate to get a few BBL guys, which I will. It's just going to take a bit of time. Keep getting some NBL guys, and then hopefully start getting those guys to kind of travel up and around Leeds. So ideally getting like more Manchester, Greater Leeds area ballers to come up. I'm looking at potentially moving to a private studio by the end of the year with a mate who's basically just started doing it himself. You know Reese? He used to be at Leeds South, PT. Does a lot of MMA stuff.
Oh, yeah, rings a bell.
Yeah, so anyway, so he's basically like the go-to guy when it comes to MMA, boxing, UFC. He's got a lot of pro fighters. So he's opening up a private studio in Leeds, and basically we want to make that a performance gym. So I do all like the court stuff. He's doing all the boxing stuff. So that's the main goal for this year. So again, I can just bring in all my guys into there, train them there, just basically make it a hub. So yeah, those are kind of the big three goals right now. So getting the skill sessions going just continuously, and then hopefully expanding that maybe to a couple a week, making sure that I've got this 3-on-3 tournament going, and then looking at moving to this private kind of performance studio by the end of the year. And if I can, then trying to get some camps going, but that's a little bit stretched.
Yeah, camps is a lot of planning. I remember I tried to plan a camp once, and it just
you need gym time, man. It's
back at uni, I was trying to plan a camp out. Just absolutely.
It's schools too. It's hard to get access to schools, man.
Yeah, it's difficult. I was going to ask as well. You're asking for names for your 3-on-3 tournament. Did you come up with one yet?
I haven't, but we've got some good ones. Why? What do you think?
The Trident.
The Trident.
Yeah.
Okay. How come? What's the
Trident has 3 prongs in it. It's a 3-on-3. You know
okay.
It's a powerful weapon. I watched today, so it popped in my head.
Yeah, that's not bad. I mean, that's definitely not one of the worst. I'll give you that.
I saw some of the ones they were suggesting.
Yeah. There's some weird ones. Yeah.
Anyone listening, if you want to come up with the 3-on-3 name, we'll put Dan's Instagram at the bottom of the link, and you can drop a message and make it as outlandish as you want. I'm sure it'll amuse you.
Yeah. Give me a good laugh any day.
Cool. I do have one question. It's a pretty obvious question because the main answer is probably going to be money and funding. But what's the main difference between sort of UK ball and overseas ball, like US or Canadian ball? Canada ball?
Yeah, Canadian ball.
Canadian ball?
Yeah, I think the biggest difference is the grassroots programs, I'd say. Yeah. So it might come back to funding and stuff, but I think there's more gym availability. There's more. The one thing I've noticed in the UK is that like it's very fucking difficult to even just get onto the school campus. Like if you want to call it a campus, like if you want to go play football at a school in Canada, you just walk up to the fucking soccer field and you play, right? Here it's like there's gated fence, like there's shit everywhere. You can't even get close to it, right? So I think that's kind of like the biggest thing I've noticed, like everything sports related here is so difficult to access. And for you to access it, you need to know somebody. So that means that anybody who's thinking about starting a program or a camp or whatever has like no chance unless they know somebody. And when even when you do, then you have to have all these approvals from the school. You probably have to pay them. It's just a nightmare. And then like the facility itself isn't the same. So
never good quality, is it? The school facility.
No, it's not the same. Yeah. And like, I remember my school. So like we had a weird school. Our high school and our middle school was like in the same building. It was fucking huge, right? But what they did is they had 2 gyms, and basically there's a massive partition in between. So when we wanted to have like big camps, or we had Basketball Canada coming down for like events and stuff, we would just open that up. And next thing you knew, you had like eight. Yeah, you had 8 hoops. You had the 2 main, then you had 4 on each side. So you had 10, right? Yeah. So obviously you can do a lot more there. You can't do that here, really.
Very, very little. Yeah. I went down to, and when I was 16, I went for a tryout at Bristol Basketball Academy or Filton Academy. Yeah. And they had that kind of setup. Like there was like 10 hoops. there was like 2 full courts next to each other. They had the stands at the top. But aside from that, when I was playing ball, there was nothing. Like, there was nothing that even came close to that. It was just some rotten little gym with like rotten floorboards and shit.
It's funny because the outdoor courts are actually probably better than a lot of the indoor courts.
Definitely.
So
the old wooden backboard with bits chipped off it and shit.
Yeah. So no, I've never seen weird rims though, like I have here. You guys have some funky rims.
Yeah.
You got like some triple rims. You've got the rims that's got a mesh and then another metal rim and then a mesh and another metal rim, like that kind of stuff.
I have pages. The ball always gets stuck in them as well.
Yeah, I've never seen
those.
Up
and you got to swipe the ball out.
Yeah, so that's it's been interesting. But yeah, it's good, man. There's a lot of people that play basketball in England that people don't realize, man. There's so many hoopers around.
Yeah,
and because of Europe too, like the Spanish leagues, like there's so many people that play, like Lithuania. Like, man, you can find people everywhere playing hoops.
Oh yeah, definitely. Do you think there will ever be a point where UK ball will develop itself to a point where we're actually able to send guys to the NBA in a
consistent way?
In a consistent way. Good word. Yeah.
I think there definitely. It should be, right?
Yeah.
Because you can, the way I look at it is, you've got double the population of Canada and you've got, a lot of hoopers coming out of Canada consistently now, like now more than ever. It was kind of okay back in the day, but now it's like, we've got several number 1 picks coming out. We've got guys out of Ontario. Like, you've got loads of people playing prep over there. And the thing is, I've met a lot of people that actually played prep or JUCO or whatever in the States from Leeds already. So I do think there will be a lot more in the future. I think it just comes down to basketball England, grassroots stuff. The thing is, man, is England's such a football country. Like, it's so hard to compete with that kind of funding, and everybody's going to naturally flock over that way, aren't they?
No, definitely. I mean, basketball's not even a secondary sport here, is it? It's more like 4th or 5th choice down the line here. So that must be difficult to get funding for in the first place, just from the government. But
it's just a cult.
It's the culture, isn't it? Yeah.
Culture thing.
Yeah. Cool. What questions have I got for you? Have you got a favorite client to work with? I know you can't name names because then the rest of your clients will get jealous. But is there one person that you look at them and you think, man, I'm taking you to fucking D1 ball. You're going. Do you know what I mean? Someone that you just want to. You see the potential and you want to just get it out of them and get them to a point where you think they could be, earning money from the sport.
Yeah, no, mate. I've met loads. Like, I play at Mandela in Leeds, which is in Chapeltown.
Yeah.
So, Chapeltown's historically known to be a little bit kind of rougher at times, or maybe low income housing and stuff. But, all those kids that come out of Chapeltown, man, they're athletic. They're so athletic and like they're raw as hell. And I met a guy who he's torn both Achilles already, right? And he's only like 23. Jeez. and he's still dunking, like he's flying, bro. And he tore both his Achilles. So I was just thinking to myself, like, imagine this guy before he tore his Achilles. So yeah, there's so much potential, but it just comes down, I think, client wise. Like I wouldn't say I have favorite clients. Like, I have clients that definitely work harder, that like are just super consistent. So they're less hard work for me. And I had a few that I was working with like beforehand that don't necessarily work with me anymore because I don't know, they just didn't want enough. Like, it's as simple as that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to work with you if you don't want it. If you don't want it, obviously if you don't pay me, then I'm not going to give you everything I do for free. Yeah. But 2, like, if I'm going to do it for free, because 1, it's going to help my rep anyways, it's going to help you, you better put the work in.
Yeah.
And sometimes they just don't. So, I've had loads of guys in the last couple of weeks that are like, oh, I'm super pumped. Like, I'm going to get onto this programming, and I send them their assessments to do. And it's been 3 weeks, they haven't done it. And I've just mentioned, look, you don't want enough. Like, I'm not going to work with you. And then I see them at the court. Yeah, exactly. And I see them at the courts and they're like, yo, I'm going to get it done. I'm like, I honestly don't give a shit. I was like, when you're ready, you're ready. I'll be here. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. There's no point chasing people up for things that, they should want enough to do themselves. You know what I mean? Exactly. What I found, even when I was just a normal personal trainer, that was what I find the most frustrating, is having to chase people up for check-ins and stuff. Like, if you want to achieve this, it's on you. I'm there to help. I'm not there to fucking do it.
Yeah. And that's the thing too, is a lot of the times, like, the way I do things now is I'll actually get people to do their assessments before I even decide if we're working together, because one, I want to see if they're going to do them. And if they don't do them, then I'm like, you're probably not that interested. And then once obviously I know that information, it helps me to obviously sell. And like, you know, this is like the businessman coming out here, but like it helps me sell how I'm going to solve their problems, and obviously find out why it is that they want these problems solved. So like, it's all part of the process, right? It's prerequisites to working with any PT. Most PTs will do that now. So, all right, I need to know you first. I need to break you down. I need to figure out what you want and need, and then I need to figure out if I can do it for you, right? So simple.
If you don't know the problems, you're not going to be able to come up with solutions, are you? So
exactly.
Find out your facts first. Yeah. Cool. I've got one question that I ask everyone on the podcast. It's a bit of a weird one. Would you rather?
Okay.
Would you rather shit yourself every time you laugh, or puke every time you sneeze?
So shit myself every time I laugh.
Yeah.
Or puke every time I sneeze. Definitely puke.
Yeah?
Yeah, I don't sneeze that much.
The way I see it is that you can feel for a sneeze, and if you're feeling the sneeze, you might have just enough time to get to a toilet or get to a bin.
Yeah, and shitting
yourself.
You see
something funny in the street, you fucked it.
Yeah, exactly. And like, it's just going to be, oh yeah, I couldn't imagine. It's going to be
nasty. It's going to be nasty.
It's going to be a lot more expensive for me too, clothes-wise.
Yeah, true. Yeah, you're going to need a lot more pants. Definitely.
Exactly.
No, exactly. That's normally the answer we get. We've only ever had one person say they'd rather shit themselves.
That person is definitely strange.
Yeah, I was very confused by that answer. I didn't know how to react. I was kind of stood there like, oh. I
say that, but you're probably one of those people that would say that, so.
Nah, I'd rather sneeze. Yeah. I laugh too much.
Yeah. I know. What are the odds? We got to get what are the odds going again.
Oh, what are the odds? That was the game. Dan, explain what are the odds to them, just for people that don't know.
Yeah, so this is a British thing. This is a British game, so you should know it. So odds on, loads of different names for it. But basically what are the odds are, if I asked you to do something. So if I said, what are the odds you drink a beer, right? You essentially create your own odds. So you could say 1 in 5, 1 in 10, 1 in 100, 1 in 1,000. So obviously the more likely you're kind of feeling a bit darish and you're thinking, oh yeah, it's not the end of the world, like I'll drink a beer, then obviously the lower the number. But the less you want to do it. So obviously if somebody told you, like, what are the odds you go kiss that guy, and you're like, fuck that, then I'm going to say 1 in a million. So obviously that means the odds are greater, right? And then what you do is you count down at the same time, 3, 2, 1, and then you both say a number. And if you both say the exact same number, you have to do it, right? You have to do it because you're the person who set the tone. You gave the odds. You got to live in it. You just got to like basically lie in your bed, right? So yeah, that's what are the odds. And then usually when people really like just refuse, you have 3 consequences. And then that's when your imagination goes wild, and it's usually like pubes on toes, shave your head, and all that kind of stuff.
I recall a few weird drinking sessions with Dan. We did
it was funny though.
Some weird shit, but it was funny.
Yeah, it was so funny.
When all this is over, we'll grab a beer and we'll do what are the odds.
Yeah, not in Doncaster.
We'll film it. No, not in Doncaster. Don't do anything in Doncaster. No. Don't come to Doncaster. No one. It's not worth it. It's a terrible place to be. We'll come to Leeds. Yeah, we'll come to you. We'll go Axpo in first because that's what we do.
Yeah, I haven't been yet.
Before, mate.
No, I heard it's good.
Yeah, it's good shit. Then we'll get drunk and we'll film it.
Yeah, sounds good.
Something for the YouTube.
PTs don't drink, remember, right? We don't drink.
I'm not PT no more, so fuck you all.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, so
I do. I
drink for most of us. Yeah.
You know what? Yesterday I had 3 beers.
Nice.
I was drunk. I was steaming.
Yeah.
I don't drink anymore. So like 3 beers, I was doing fucking cartwheels in the living room. Madness.
Nice.
Madness. This wouldn't be a Lumberjack Subs podcast if we didn't ask you a little bit about supplements. Now, obviously, you can be completely honest. If you don't use them and don't rate them, then fair enough. But are there any that you do use, and are there any that you recommend, 1, to your Gen Pop clients, and 2, to your athletes? And is there a difference in that?
Yeah, defo. Yeah, I use them. I use whey protein. I would say actually during lockdown, I haven't overly used it. When I'm usually at work routine wise, just because I'm a bit lazy when it comes to meal prep sometimes. Like, every morning I usually have a shake, protein, a couple scoops, banana, oats, all that kind of stuff, just to get my calories, just because you're moving all day in the gym anyways. So I need those calories. Yeah. And then just like regular stuff too. Like, if sometimes I need a quick meal with yogurt, or if I'm making pancakes, sometimes I'll just put some protein powder. So yeah, I recommend all my clients, have some. Ideally, I try to get them to just get most of their meals from solid food, but a lot of them can't. And, I do it. So why can't they?
Yeah.
Take creatine as well, 100%. So I actually kind of been a bit slack with that lately, but I always have some. I'm going to get back into the routine of taking it here in the next kind of week or two while we get back to the gym, mostly because it's like the best in terms of performance, the most widely studied supplement out there. It's good for cognitive health. There's a lot of good stuff coming out that way.
Yeah.
Just in terms of, mental health and how it could prevent a lot of diseases. So if you don't take that, I told my mom and dad they should take it. I don't think they do, but creatine. I take some what is it called? Take collagen and vitamin C as well. That's more basketball specific though. And I wouldn't even say it's basketball specific, but anybody who wants to like basically improve like tendon, ligament health, all that kind of stuff, I would take collagen and vitamin C. And basically you want to do like some isometric work. So try to keep it simple. If you're doing an isometric exercise, it's essentially like, imagine holding a squat at the bottom position for 30 seconds. That's an isometric exercise, right? Because you're just holding a position. So you could literally just like extend your knee and squeeze your knee as hard as you can, like squeeze your quad, and hold that for 30 seconds. That's an isometric contraction. So basically there's like some cool studies out there that say if you do some isometric work and you take collagen and vitamin C, it really like infuses the tendons and the ligaments around that joint. Yeah. And collagen, as we know, is like the huge component of all those things that we just talked about.
Yeah.
So if you're somebody who's had injuries in the past, or you just want to keep your joints healthy, then you should take that and then do some isometric work around those joints. And there's some really good, I read another study the other day about just how you should be taking collagen anyways.
Yeah.
In your diet, for, I forget what reason. So I'm sure there'll be other stuff coming out that way. And then, that's pretty much all I take at the moment. So yeah.
Nice. That's more than I thought you were going to say, to be honest. I'm impressed that you went straight for creatine as well. That makes me. That's like, if anybody even remotely considers doing sport or training, the first thing I say is, right, get some creatine.
Yeah.
Like, it's the most well researched, it's the most scientifically backed, and it's probably the best one in terms of what you get sort of bang for your buck. If you
do you guys do your multivitamins and all that stuff with
Lumberjack? Yeah, we've got some multivitamins. We've got one called Orange Triad, and it honestly the capsules are like this big, and you take 6. It's mental, but that's it's like a combination of everything. So there's some enzymes in there. There's some omega in there as well. Mm-hmm. So it's just a big combination of everything. That one's pretty good. And then we've got like multivitamins and stuff. But to be honest, there's that many different multivitamins out there. There's no point in me stocking all of them. So I just stock the one I prefer the most. So that's the beauty of having a supplement shop rather than having my own company, is I don't have to be married to one product, if that makes sense. So if I want to get a whey protein in, I can get 4 or 5 different brands in to try them and see which ones I prefer, and then sell the ones that I prefer.
Yeah, it makes sense. That's the other thing I take. I take multivitamin. I don't really take fish oils. I probably should, but I eat quite a bit of fish in my diet. Yeah. And I've thought about getting do you guys sell like nitrates or anything specifically that way?
Yeah.
So I thought about taking some of those, but just because again, I don't eat a lot of like leafy veg, but I'm trying to up that. But those are the main ones I'd take: fish oil, creatine, multi, whey, collagen, whatever else I said. Those would be the big ones.
Cool. And they apply both for a baller and for sort of your gen pop that's going for maybe fat loss or building strength.
Yeah, I'd say the basketball guys are probably the worst with their diets. 100%. They're definitely the worst. Like they probably don't eat enough protein. So I'm like, you should be taking it. Half of them don't take a multivitamin alone. So I'm like, take a multi. most of them probably don't take creatine. I actually get a lot of them to, one of the guys, I was like, start drinking coffee before your games. Like, he doesn't drink coffee at all. I was like, take a few sips of coffee before a practice, get used to it. And then I want you to take it before a game when you feel comfortable. And he had like one of his best games. He was like, yo, I was in a zone. So caffeine might be another one. But yeah, I'd say Gen Pop for the most part, multivitamin, whey, creatine if they want to go down that road. But again, it just depends on the person, right? There's a lot of things, as you know, you need to change before you start introducing supplements. So if you start doing that too early and they still don't drink 2 liters of water a day and they don't go for a walk half the time, then it's like you're defeating the purpose.
Yeah. Even though we sell supplements here, the main thing I tell people is that it's become my little catchphrase now, is they are a luxury, not a necessity. So like, you can get where you want to go without using a supplement 100%, but they can help if you can afford to do so, and as long as everything else is in place to help you succeed. So yeah, you can use that if you want next time you're talking to someone. One thing that I think is going to be really interesting, I'm going to send you a couple of samples. So shoot me your address at the end of this, and what we'll do is I want to send you some nootropics. Have you heard of nootropics before?
Not really.
So nootropics, basically what they do is they can alter your cognitive state. That's the easiest way to put it. They help your brain work a little bit better. They've been used a lot for guys that are studying, so a lot of students use them. I know my educators use them, and they're getting really popular in gaming now as well. And I'm wondering if they would then also be effective for a basketball game. It's my own little mini experiment that I've got going on in my head. So if I can send you a couple, and you can, one, try them out yourself when you have a shoot around or when you have a game.
Yeah.
And then maybe dish them out to a couple of your BBL?
NBL guys, yeah.
Yeah, NBL guys. See if they see a benefit from it as well. And that may be something we could look at promoting as well, because they do work. Like I'm always skeptical on shit. Yeah. Even though, again, I sell supplements, a lot of them are trash. A lot of them are garbage. A lot of them are, the ones you can get in B&M, not going to name names, but the ones that you can get in B&M, well marketed, not well put together. So I'm all about finding the ones that are well put together, maybe a little bit more expensive, a little bit more on the luxury side, but you know, you're going to get a lot more out of them. It's not like you're just going to be pissing them back out again.
Yeah, 100%.
So yeah, I'm keen to try some nootropic stuff and see what.
Yeah, it's definitely, mate. I'll go play. As soon as I get my new shoes, I'll go play and I'll try it.
Oh, what shoes are you getting?
I got some, I did some Nike IDs for Kyrie's.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, mate, they can't wait. I can't wait to get them. Like I got like the actual sole of them. Like you can get on Nike, you can get like just a regular one, like most shoes, or you can get like a specific outdoor sole. That's better for playing on. I didn't even know that it was a thing. So I got that and I'm just like buzzing. I can't wait because I've got holes in my other ones and like I can't blow by people because I got no grip and it's all that kind of stuff. So
yeah, I knew you were coming on today, so I did something special.
Oh yeah. Oh, nice. Like it. Nice, Kobe. That's a throwback.
Kobe, actually, after the great one back in the day.
Did you?
My first dog, yeah, he was called Kobe.
Nice, man. That's a great jersey.
That's a great jersey. I've got the Black Mamba one as well.
Yeah,
the Mamba one. Yeah,
I need. You know what? It's been on my list of things to get, but I want to get like an authentic one, and they're a bit pricey right now.
Yeah, they're like 80, 90 quid or something. Obviously, the price goes up once he passed away as well.
Yeah, well, I want to get like have you seen the Mitchell and Ness ones?
Yeah.
Like
they're the throwback old school ones.
They're like 200-300 quid. So yeah, I want to get one and frame it. But my missus is like, she's like, why the fuck would we frame that? I was like, you don't get it.
You don't understand. Yeah,
I was like, you need to
get it. I've only just managed to get the Portsmouth flag up in the bedroom. Like,
oh, nice. Yeah.
So to be honest, mate, I don't think I've got any more questions for you. Unless you've got anything you wanna talk about in the meantime, we can always do another one.
No, I think that's all good, man. Thanks for having me on. It's cool to talk a bit about basketball and stuff like that. Don't get
I've missed
too often. So
basketball. It's not often I get to talk about it. I'm normally talking about bodybuilding and stuff. So this has been interesting for me.
Yeah. No, definitely, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, mate. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah. Cheers, bro.